There is a foundational law of the universe that governs both the movement of stars and the quietest machinations of the human mind. The ledger must always balance. Nothing is free. Every action, every structure, every fleeting thought demands an expenditure of energy. When we consider the concept of human freedom, we often mistakenly view it as a default state, a vast, empty expanse that we simply inhabit. But freedom is not a void. It is a highly expensive, biological, and societal achievement. Our biology betrays this truth. The human brain, sitting quietly in a room, consumes a massive share of the body's metabolic energy. The sheer caloric cost of simulating futures, weighing moral alternatives, and overriding primal impulses is staggering. What we experience as a free choice is, in reality, the heavy, costly machinery of our biology grinding toward a conclusion. Freedom is an evolved defense mechanism against inevitability. It took millions of years of costly, brutal evolutionary trial and error to engineer a primate capable of anticipating and avoiding harm. To be free is to be computationally burdened. It requires constant cognitive upkeep, and yet, in our modern world, we have become dangerously alienated from the true cost of our own agency. This alienation becomes glaringly obvious when we look at how society treats the commons, the shared public spaces and resources that are offered without a point-of-sale transaction. We walk into a public library or we wander into a protected expanse of nature, and because no money leaves our hands, our brains misinterpret the absence of a financial hurdle as an absence of value. Our minds are wired to conserve energy, relying on heuristics and mental shortcuts to navigate a complex world. Over time, society has adopted the price tag as the ultimate heuristic. We have been conditioned to assume that high monetary cost equals high quality, because evaluating the inherent worth of a thing requires the grueling cognitive labor of critical thinking. Consider the experience of receiving a fully funded, world-class education. There is a tragic irony in witnessing a school of unparalleled quality being tossed aside or undervalued by the masses simply because it lacks a crippling financial price tag. To fully engage with such an education without the external pressure of financial debt requires a profound internal commitment. It requires what the pragmatists call the strenuous mood, the rigorous application of moral and intellectual energy. The true payment for a profound education is not made in dollars. It is paid in discipline, in the breaking down of old dogmas, and in the agonizing, beautiful work of self-transformation. The people who undervalue the commons are mistaking the symbol for the reality. They believe that handing over cash automatically guarantees transformation, failing to see that the institution is just the raw material. The real value is forged internally, because the immense, distributed societal effort required to maintain a library or a university is hidden from immediate view. The market-oriented mind simply cannot compute its worth. When we lose the ability to assign value to quiet, internal effort, we become vulnerable to systems that weaponize our desire for growth. This brings us to the profound structural flaw at the heart of the modern wellness, coaching, and self-help industries. Anyone who understands the foundational mechanics of human psychology knows that the ultimate goal of any therapeutic or developmental intervention must be obsolescence. The objective is to equip the individual with the tools they need to navigate the world autonomously, so they no longer require the guide. But when well-being and personal growth are transformed into commodities, the economic incentive shifts drastically. The goal is no longer to cure the patient. The goal is to retain the customer. We are surrounded by coaching industries, gurus, and multi-level marketing structures that are fundamentally designed to keep the individual in a state of arrested development. These industries manufacture dependency by shifting the locus of control outward. They position themselves as the exclusive gatekeepers of success and clarity. To maintain this illusion, they rely on the engineered hysteria of toxic positivity and relentless group dynamics. In these environments, there is a heartbreaking disconnect between the loud, performative group persona, which desperately wants to project an image of hypermotivation, and the exhausted, unfulfilled, internal reality of the individual. Participants are placed on a highly engineered hamster wheel, buying the next workbook, attending the next seminar, or recruiting the next downline mimics the sensation of momentum without the actual friction of genuine progress. When the promised enlightenment fails to materialize, the system tells the individual that they are the problem, driving them back to purchase the next tier of salvation. It is a predatory loop that feeds on the deeply human desire for meaning, trapping people in a perpetual state of inadequacy. How do we break this loop? How do we reclaim our autonomy in a world that insists on commodifying our psychological development? The rebellion begins with a conscious, deliberate withdrawal. It requires stepping away from the performative noise of the crowd and embracing the quiet rigor of the mind, the domain of sovereign solitude. The antidote to the predatory guru is the autodidact. The sanctuary of the autodidact could possibly be the public library. To step into a library and pull a difficult text from the shelf is a philosophically subversive act. It cuts the economic engine entirely out of the equation of personal growth. The library strips away the pressure of the group persona. It does not cheerlead. It does not promise secret shortcuts. It simply sits there, holding the accumulated wisdom and folly of human history, demanding that you do the heavy, unglamorous lifting of critical thought. This path is not easy. True, positive freedom, the spontaneous, independent act of building one's own intellect, carries the heavy price of isolation. Carving out a solitary path of self-directed growth means abandoning the comforting illusions provided by external authorities. It means seeking cognitive restoration not in a paid seminar, but in the deliberate reprieve of nature, allowing the overtaxed nervous system to recalibrate away from the relentless demands of commercial exchange. We must remember that freedom is never given. It is always bought, earned, or subsidized by prior effort. The public park, the library, the quiet afternoon spent wrestling with a complex philosophical concept, these are not free experiences. They are paid for by the invisible labor of society, and they are actualized by your own internal exertion. To escape the predatory loops of manufactured dependency, we must stop looking for value in the price tag. We must stop renting our self-worth from gurus who profit from our paralysis. Instead, we must be willing to pay the true cost of our own agency. We must embrace the strenuous mood, sit quietly within our own sovereign solitude, and do the profound, necessary work of thinking for ourselves.